So today we're going to break down one of the most audacious plans in space exploration right now. We're talking about how SpaceX plans to build our very first permanent home on the moon, and get this, not with the construction crew, but by using the rocket itself.
You see, the race back to the moon this time around, it's got way higher stakes. We're not just talking about planting a flag and leaving a few footprints. No, the real prize now is setting up shop for good, establishing a permanent presence, the first real foothold for humanity beyond Earth.
And that right there brings us to the core problem. I mean, how do you build anything, let alone a base, on a world with zero cranes, no factories, and definitely no Home Depot down the street? You are literally starting from scratch. It is the ultimate construction challenge.
All right, section 1. Let's really dig into what this new moon race is all about, because it's not just about getting there anymore. It's about being the first to stay.
So, why is a permanent base the real prize here? Well, because it's the key that unlocks everything else. We're talking long-term science, mining for resources like water ice, and yeah, eventually using it as a staging point for missions to Mars. Think about it. Landing is the first step, but building, that's the real giant leap.
Okay, but how do you actually build it? Well, before SpaceX entered the picture, there were really only two main options on the table. And let me tell you, both of them were monumentally difficult. So, the traditional thinking gave us two pretty tough choices. Option 1, you ship a pre-built base from Earth, piece by painful piece. Kind of like how we built the International Space Station, right? A process that would take decades and just a crazy number of launches. Option 2, you send up a whole factory of robots and 3D printers to build something using local moon dust. Sounds cool, but the problem is that tech doesn't really exist yet. So yeah, both paths are incredibly slow, super complex, and ridiculously expensive.
Okay, so faced with those two flawed options, SpaceX came along and proposed something completely different. A really elegant solution that just neatly sidesteps the entire problem.
And here it is, the big aha moment. The idea is just brilliantly simple. What if you stopped trying to figure out how to build a base on the moon, and instead you just brought one with you? What if the rocket that actually gets you to the moon is the base?
So the official name for this concept is lander conversion, and the plan is to use SpaceX's absolute beast of a rocket, the Starship, which, is the vehicle NASA chose for its Artemis missions, and use it not just for the trip, but as the actual foundation for the entire base.
Now, of course, that raises a huge question, right? You've got this massive 160-foot tall rocket that lands standing straight up. How on Earth, or on the moon, do you turn that into a horizontal habitat you can live in? Okay, let's get into the engineering. So the proposed process is kind of like this carefully choreographed dance. First, you've got rovers that come in and prepare a nice flat surface. Then they deploy this massive air cushion. Think of it like a giant stunt airbag, right beside the Starship. Then two of the landing legs slowly retract, and the whole vehicle just gently tips over, right onto the cushion. After that, the cushion slowly deflates, lowering the habitat right onto the ground. And for the final step, rovers would bury the whole thing under a thick layer of moon dust, regolith, to protect it from radiation and micrometeorites.
Okay, so that's the how, but let's talk about the why. Why does this idea matter so much? What makes this approach such a potential game changer?
Well, the advantages here are just enormous. First off, speed. You get a fully functional base pretty much instantly after you land. It's also way simpler. You completely eliminate the insane logistics of having to ship dozens of separate modules. And it's incredibly efficient. You're not just throwing away a multi-billion-dollar landing vehicle, you're making it the centerpiece of your new home. And on top of all that, its sheer size makes it the perfect foundation to expand from later.
And to really wrap your head around the scale we're talking about here, look at this number. Once those empty fuel tanks are all repurposed, a single Starship could offer over 1,000 cubic meters of pressurized space. That is more living and working space than the entire International Space Station. And you get it all in one single trip. That's not just a step forward, it's an enormous leap in capability.
The key word here is really optimization. This isn't just about using an empty metal shell. You're reusing everything that's already there. The advanced life support, the power systems, the communications gear, all that complex, expensive technology that's already built right into the vehicle. Absolutely nothing is wasted.
All right, time for a little reality check. As elegant and brilliant as this plan sounds, turning it from a concept into actual hardware on the moon is a monumental task. And let's be real, SpaceX isn't operating in a vacuum here. There's a very serious competitor on the horizon.
So the pressure here is really coming from two directions. On one hand, you have SpaceX racing against the laws of physics to just get Starship working reliably, but on the other hand, the US is in this geopolitical race against the clock, mainly because China is moving forward and fast with its own really impressive lunar program.
I mean, just look at this timeline. NASA's targeting a landing around 2027. China's planning to land its own astronauts by 2030, and they want to have a permanent research station totally complete by 2035. This is exactly why the Starship approach is so critical. A traditional, slow, module-by-module construction plan, it just might be too slow to keep up.
And of course, let's not forget the massive technical hurdles that still need to be overcome. Starship has to prove it can consistently get to orbit and land safely. SpaceX has to absolutely perfect in-orbit refueling, which is a must-have for getting to the moon. And on top of that, they still need to develop and actually prove that this whole tipping and conversion process even works. So yeah, there's a very long road ahead before any of this becomes a reality.
So that really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? In this massive race to build a new world, is this incredibly audacious idea of turning a rocket into a home, is it the genius shortcut humanity needs? Or are the immense engineering challenges just going to be too great to overcome? You know, the answer to that question is probably going to define our entire future on the moon.